All right. I'm back. Oh my God, that's bright. Sorry, it's dark. It gets dark so early here now. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Ah, that's all I see. And there's a big rainbow around it. Okay. God, bright lights. I'm traumatized. Now I forgot what I was going to talk about. Just kidding. Okay, so yesterday I talked about my drug history. Psych drug history, and how it came to be that I accepted the mental health profession, just like the rest of us were programmed into. Of course, now I need to answer the questions: how did I heal or detox or recover from the abuse and trauma of the psychiatric industry? Okay, first of all, again, I'm not an expert, but I have an inordinate amount of life experience. I have my own experience, which is I'm here, drug free, functioning, healed myself. So I guess I've learned a little bit along the way. I'm not perfect, and I don't believe that there is only one way to heal. All I can really do is share with you my story, my journey, and what I did. So, where do I start? I did mention that intuitively, I always knew that something's not right. I just felt dead inside and all around, and it just, I wasn't getting anywhere with therapists. And one thing I didn't bring up yesterday, I forgot to mention, well, there's a lot of things, but this particular one is in the late 80s and early 90s, when I was being pushed into all of this and, trying to get therapy, trying to get help, right? Well, for those of you that remember, that's when they were pushing the false memory syndrome. Yep. So it made it even worse. The few therapists that I met, I mean, I never really, there was one I connected with in Utah. Debbie is her name. She's beautiful. And she was always sweet and kind and helpful. And she was, you could tell, she was doing what she was doing because she loved and wanted to help people, not because she was wearing masks and trying to drug others and put others down. In fact, she knew how I felt about it. And she did not ever bring up false memory syndrome. However, every other time, especially when these things were mother induced, right? Because I'm delusional, I'm this horrible person out to torture her. When I did try to bring up things that were causing my depression or wanting, making me cry or making me feel sad, lost, dejected, unloved, etc., I was hit with that. So, talk about gaslighting. You're getting it at home, you're getting it with the people that you're going to seek help from. It was not easy. So, honestly, back then, my solution was kill myself, right? Die. Do whatever it takes. But God, I just didn't really like doing the things other people did. I did drink alcohol more than once. Teenager, early 20s, but I didn't really like it. I did it because I had fake friends when I was drinking. People that pretend they liked me and pretended they wanted to be with me and hang out with me. And that's pretty much, yeah. And, I quickly learned that these weren't real friends. They're just bar friends. All you have to do to find out who your real friends are is just get sick once or something like that. If you're not on that bar stool, you don't exist, and you're quickly replaced. So, Yeah, and I didn't like drugs, and plus I was afraid of drugs. In fact, even cannabis, which of course ended up saving my life all these years later, but I was so programmed that that was horrible. You know, if I was a man, it was going to give me boobs and, just turn it, yeah, reefer madness, right? So I was very programmed. I was a good little girl. I did everything I was told to, because I knew what would happen if I didn't. And I don't know if this video is a place, but I'm just going to say it because it came up and I wanted to say it. I was taught, I mean, not just the closet things and stuff yesterday I talked about, but I was taught what would happen to good little boys and girls who don't do what they're told. And some of the trauma that I had to heal from and was told is not real and it's all in my head. I was locked in cages. Yeah, not just that closet at home yesterday, but cages. Like cages. And I was very young. I did not know what bondage and things like that were, obviously. Didn't even know what sex was. Yeah, I was very, 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 very young. Like one digit still. So maybe 6, 7, something like that. And I was locked in these cages, sometimes wearing bondage gear, and I got to watch live living people get burned on fire, killed. These people, I mean, I don't know. I don't need to, I don't want to get too much off on a tangent on that. Clearly I had some trauma to deal with, but I had nowhere to go, right? You keep getting pushed into the system. You go try and talk to a friend and they don't want to hear it or they're not going to believe it. And then the more you talk about it, the more delusional you are, right? So that's more proof that you need help because you're clearly sick in the head because you're telling these stories that most people don't believe and clearly haven't experienced. So, again, all of our healing paths are not the same. This is what I had to do. I had to trust my intuition and trust my feeling and trust my body. So, if you have faith in anything or anyone or any God or anything that's stronger, smarter, and wiser than our little traumatized, gaslighted, Stockholm syndromed pea brains, anything, God, Allah, Buddha, whatever, pick a God, any God, I don't care. That's not the point. Creation, nature, whatever. If you have a belief or a faith in something greater, stronger, and more powerful and wiser than we are, then you look at it as a test. That, whatever you believe in, thing, God, universe, higher self, Buddha, whatever it is that you have faith in, has got to be stronger, smarter, and wiser than the men in white coats that can't even be consistent in the diagnoses that they give you. And keep in mind, we all know, of those of us who've been diagnosed, there are no scientific tests. There are no blood tests. There are no... Uh-oh, did I hit the thing? Okay. There is no actual scientific test to prove that anybody has a mental illness. Again, we are dishing out labels for people, traumatized people, trying to express. So what I had to do is remove myself from limiting toxic environments, even when they were my family, even when they were my mother, even when they were my brother, even when I only begged and screamed and wanted to be loved and wanted to have a family. But I knew that I would never get to know myself for who I am if I was continuing to live in these limiting, controlling environments. The control was so bad, and I'm sure many of you can relate, but I actually thought that control, jealousy, and abuse meant love. Because why would you be jealous or want to control me if you didn't love me, right? I learned to accept my punishment and not complain. I was groomed into the perfect little trophy wife, and although inside I always knew. So it's funny, every time I asked a question or something, then of course all of a sudden I'm mentally ill, and then all of a sudden, I must be contained. But if I'm going along with the program, everything was totally fine. So although I started running away at a young age, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know what I was running from. I just knew that it felt bad. I knew that it killed me in my gut, and that, say, if I was in nature or somewhere alone, I felt fine. When I was in these environments with these people, I felt sick. My back pain was worse. Headaches, stomach aches, nausea, joint pain, anger, frustration, sadness. Well, if you're listening to the program, then obviously the fact that you feel those feelings, there must be something wrong with you. I knew. No. I knew enough to know that what was happening to me was actually happening to me. So I had to remove myself from anyone who would either deny it or shame or blame me or try to push a pill, right? Because I already knew pills weren't the answer. By the way, I mean, some of the side effects from the pills, I was talking with someone last night and remembering, some of them, I gained 1 pound a day, okay? From gaining weight, losing weight, up, down, heart. Dude, at one point, my blood pressure was 200 and something. I've always had normal blood pressure. In fact, it was so bad, even with my children, I was toxemic. They had to induce me. Oh yeah, because guess why? Yeah, they made me go on lithium while I was pregnant with my first daughter because they said the risks, no, the benefits outweighed the risks. The benefits for me being on these brain disabling drugs, having children, was outweighed the risks of the drugs, which of course I'm well, here's the risk, yeah, but whatever. I mean, some of this, dude, I remember one job I went to and I had to take a pee test, and again, didn't do drugs, didn't do anything, but I was so toxic on those other drugs, they said that my pee could not have come from a live human being. I was in the hospital right there, peed right there, because I was actually already in the hospital. What do you mean? I'm here, I'm alive, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So at the time, not knowing what I was running from, I just knew I had to run. That's all. I trusted that source inside me that had always guided me before, that had always kept me safe before as a child. Who kept me safe when I was locked in those cages? Who kept me safe when I was in frickin' military bases I don't even know. I don't even remember everything. I remember hardly anything. But I know that I'm here, and I know that I was protected, and I remembered a lot of the wisdom that my grandmother tried to share with me when she protested me being taken away to these projects, I'll call them. Those are other videos. Okay, so at the time, all I could do was run. I'd try to, find solace in other people, but, there really wasn't any of that because, again, you can't talk about your real life because then you're going to be accused of being crazy. And, you know, right? So you find yourself in this isolation. So I did like everyone else did. I tried to go drink and, you know, go to all the bars and have fun and but that's horrible. Like think about this, dude. And all the drugs tell you do not mix with alcohol. But what's the first thing we all do when we get those pills? We go drink alcohol, right? We want to see what's going to happen or you know, and maybe that's not you know that happens. Come on, every single person I know. And most people don't even tell people they're taking the pills, right? Because they're too embarrassed. But if you're lucky like me and have freaking 15 surgeries and in and out of the hospitals all the time, you not only have those drugs, you also get painkillers and muscle relaxers and shit like that. And yeah, so if you don't want to take them and giving them to somebody else at the bar, and then it's horrible, man. I can't even, you know, there was even a time I remember back then where I thought the women that were doing like the Xanax and the Ritalin, I thought they were the cool women. So I wanted to be like them. Yeah, they were like beautiful and masked everything. They had always the perfect hair and makeup and clothes and bodies. And yep, I wanted to be like that. So I'm in Utah. And I had ended up working at a restaurant that my uncle used to deliver to. Used to deliver cabbage and eggs and spinach and also bred their dogs, mastiffs. He bred mastiffs with chihuahuas and horses came out. So anyways, that was weird, totally random. I'm living in Utah. I work at this place. You know my Uncle Sam? What? Okay, well, I knew that he had no phone and nobody knew his address and his place was all boarded up and no TV, this and that, because he was the weird one, the crazy one that, you know, went to live in the country by himself to get away from this perfect, humane society. I remembered him as a kid and I always missed him, but again, no way to get in touch with him. And we're living the city life and he's just some crazy guy on the mountains. Well, my boss told me that he does still go to the restaurant occasionally, every month or two or something, and lives down south, not too far away. And I'm like, whoa, really? Dude, if you see him, you have to call me, please. Well, one day I was at home, get a call from work, and guess who's in the restaurant? Oh my God, okay, I'm on my way. So I went down to the restaurant. I only lived like a few blocks away from it and just walked right up and Uncle Sam remembered me. That was so cool. He was sitting at the corner table. Oh my God. And so we got in touch. Well, I learned a little bit more about where he's been the last 10 or, yeah, I was in my 20s then. So it must have been 10 or 12 years or something. And he had written a bunch of books in the meantime. And I talked about this in a video I did like in 2012, my healing journey at the time, which was just physical stuff, lupus, cancer, stuff like that, diabetes, strokes. So I talked about this story, but anyway, so he wrote all these books, the big book and the book of life. I even showed it in a couple of my videos. And this is one of the triggers. Okay, so I shared in the video yesterday where the doctors could never figure out, or, you know, they always had a different diagnosis, or they'd take them away. And of course, the whole drug changing, and this isn't working, so it must be that one, or, oh, maybe you don't actually have this disease. And this is, of course, after I was told that, you know, I can have a functioning life. I'm sick, but I could have a functioning life if I manage my symptoms with all of these medications that, again, kept changing. So I hang out with my uncle a few times. He gives me a couple books. I don't know, I'm guessing maybe 30-something pages into the first one. And I was taking drugs again at the time. I don't even remember how many, but it was a lot because in Utah, that was when I ended up having the strokes in my 20s and the seizures. And when I was falling asleep, I talked about that last night. Like, you know, go to dinner and just freaking narcoleptic pass out just like that. Okay. So anyways, in the book, he, somewhere 30-something pages or whatever into it, he said, oh, you think that little white pill is so smart? that one day it knows to fix your headache, the next day it knows to fix your backache, the next day it's your PMS, your knee, or this or that. And I was taking, I don't know if it was like Depakote or Paxil or don't remember, something at the time. No, there was something blue and there was something pink. Oh, Zoloft, and I don't remember. But reading that, it just made me think again about the doctors and their misdiagnoses and the back and forth, and how, I also had to realize that every time something good happened, my depression was automatically cured, right? But every time I got raped or gang raped or my daughter was raped or something like that, then my depression came back. It wasn't a coincidence. Those are contributing factors to normal human emotions that do not need to be drugged. So that really got me in my uncle's book. And that moment, I went up and got up because I had been thinking about it, why am I taking these and not really taking them religiously, but trying, and just like, that was it. I freaking threw them away. Like before, when I didn't take drugs, I'd put them aside, just in case, right? You never know. I might need them, or somebody else might need them, or, I might want to take them all at once and kill myself. So I always saved them. This time, I threw them away. That was it. Cold turkey. Again. Did I have issues? Yeah. Who doesn't? But I was busy being submerged in life and remembering the trauma, the shame, the embarrassment, the forced drugging, the hogtying. Oh, and every time I was hogtied, imagine this, I'm further traumatized, not just from beating my door down and being treated like a fucking piece of meat, being hogtied, then shipped off somewhere. Also, do you think when they beat your door down, they fix your door? No. So I had to deal with the trauma, knowing that my houses, this happened in multiple houses in different states, was left wide open. Mm-hmm. Yep. What am I going to come back to, if anything? So again, how the system further traumatizes already traumatized freaking victims. It's comedic, really, looking back at it now, but not at the time. At the time, I wasn't 100% convinced that there wasn't something wrong with me, but what I was 100% convinced of was that whatever that was that I have faith in, that I have a relationship with, that had always protected and guided me. And every time I listened to it, it got me out of situations that I'm really lucky to be out of. So, when I was on the drugs, did I trust my intuition? No. So yeah, it was harder. Of course. But none of us really listen to our intuition, which has absolutely nothing to do with drugs. It has everything to do with society telling you that you're not good enough. You need to go to a pastor or a guru or a preacher or, a teacher or an expert or somebody else, right? You can't talk to God directly. It's, just us wearing the funny hats and dresses, right? Yeah. Oh God, that reminds me. Okay. So also in Salt Lake, and I'm wondering, because dude, like, you people think, oh, well, I see things and hear things and you just don't understand. I'm going to tell you a few things, all right? Yeah. Well, I still see things, but now I know what they are. At the time when you're going through this and you're seeing these things and you're young and you have nobody to talk to, of course you're crazy, right? There's fucking demons everywhere. And I'm talking creatures, like a cross between one of them, I remember, that was walking up my stairs and my friend was there and I was like, what? And then she's like, what are you looking at? And I told her. And then, of course, that was more proof that I'm crazy. So I have to be scared of that, plus be scared of losing my friends, plus be scared of losing my mind and being crazy, plus, oh my God, total drama. But anyways, okay, so I was like, okay. At one time, this was also in Utah, and it was one of my childhood friends coming to visit, which I found out who he was much later, and I cut him off. But he, so he had a big drug and alcohol problem, and like big time. And I was always sensitive to entities. I could always see into the veils. Military used my freaking talents to see. Okay? So that gift was always there until they drug it out of you. And oh, battery power low. So it says I can't use flash anymore. Let me try plugging this in. Or I have a little light. Fuck it. What do you do? I got a flashlight. Okay, so I was with him in my house, and like every time he was around, hopefully that helps, there was this really, really, really bad smell. I'm really sensitive to these things, and there was stuff going on in my house. So JD convinces me, well, hey, let's go talk to a Catholic priest and maybe he'll exorcise your house. And okay, sure, what do? You know, I'm like 23, 24 years old, just, you know, whatever, trying to figure something out. I don't know if that light works all right, but so we went to the Catholic church. It was a Saturday night. We were totally sincere about getting help. I mean, there were knocks on the walls. There were things flying off my bookshelf, the demon down the hallway, crazy shit. And then, so after, I guess it's called mass or something on a Saturday night, I don't know, the front of the church, everybody's leaving or whatever, and I don't know, bishop or whatever they're called, dude in a dress or something is sitting there, priest, not sitting there, standing there saying bye to people, this, that, and so then JD, he was Catholic, so he figured he isn't in, and so he went and said something to the priest, and oh, you might have to help my friend and exercise her place. There's, you know, demons and stuff going on in there. So he's like, hey, Christie, come here. Okay. So I walk over there to the priest. Hi. So, what's going on? And I told him a few things, and he just looks at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, JD was there, and I go to show JD, and JD's not there. So, oh man, it was one of those things you just had to be there for, but I'm like, all right, fuck it. I guess I'm not going to get exercised. Well, maybe we'll get some holy water, right? I mean, I tried everything that I knew or thought I knew or that somebody told me at the time. Okay, so yeah, what am I am jumping around all over the place. I'm sorry. But whatever, I guess this is just gonna have to turn into a freaking audiobook. So when it comes to trusting that intuition, okay, so yeah, I saw crazy things, the men in black. I'd walk down the hallway, even as a girl, and the men are there. They'd be at the end of my bed and whatever. Like, I see things too. In fact, I've told people this for years and years. And I used to tell my mom and anyone who would listen, even as a child, Mom, I don't want to be there. Okay, and you know what? I'm just going to have to freaking tell you. I was at Bohemian Grove, okay? And that's why I get fucking pissed off when people like Alex Jones say, oh, they're burning effigies. Ha! We snuck in and ha ha ha. Bullshit, you fucking lying piece of ONI, Office of Naval Intelligence crap. That's who you are, Alex Jones. Let's face it, okay? Some of us were there not because we were invited because we're special, but for other things. So, yeah. Okay, so there I go. Yeah, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, the intuition thing and the keeping me safe. Yeah, and the people. Okay. So there I am with all these shiny people, world leaders. They're all perfect. The suits, everything I was groomed to be. But it never felt right. I always, but of course, my mom, everything has to look good and you have to keep up these appearances. Dude, they were grooming me to be a household name today from the time I was a child. And in some of my videos, I show you some of the things and stuff, but so yeah, I guess I was one of the chosen people to be groomed, I guess. Started running away from that. So whatever, here we are all this time later. So when I'm talking about my Devil's Advocate, the movie, I had told people all the time that if you've seen that movie, the Charlize Theron's character, that was me. Like, she would look at the shiny people and she would see them for the demons they are, where everyone else like, oh, they have money, oh, they're great, oh, they're pretty and shiny, oh, just, go along, they're great, right? No, I was like her. That's like the most accurate depiction I have seen of my life growing up. So yeah, those of you who think you see things and that's why you're schizophrenic and no, these things are real. There are demons all around, okay? Entities and of all different types going on. Some of us I'll say this. We were all born able to see these things naturally. Then we were vaccinated. Then we went to school. Then we were put on drugs, okay? We went to school, we learned how to follow the leader, do what we're told, and repeat lies. You step out of line and you're on detention or Saturday school or picked on or, oh, Joey's not like us, right? So I had to trust that what I was seeing, these demons, these things, and even though I didn't know what I was running from at the time, I knew in my gut and my heart that this wasn't right and there had to be something more. That's what I did. I didn't have help. I didn't have access to, like, a few times if I had poor people's insurance or whatever, or sometimes I'd go to a clinic or, I had a few therapists that I paid, full price to go see for a while until I just realized this is bullshit. I just need a friend to talk to, right? That's all it is. But when you are going through these things, you quickly find out that you really don't have a lot of friends, if any, because nobody wants to hear it, right? They want to pawn you off to somebody else. And yeah, let me plug in the phone. It looks like it's gonna die. Sorry. Shoot. Yeah, I guess sorry. Where are we at? Oh my god, the video's getting too long. Oh yeah, the battery's totally gonna die. Okay. Hopefully, shoot. Wait a minute. Okay. Hopefully it's... Sorry about that. Okay. So, as I got away to try to find myself, that means get away from anyone who thinks that you're that person they programmed you to be, including your family, including your friends. I went to locations purposefully where I didn't know anybody at all, and I followed my heart. I just trusted that I was going the right direction. I don't know. I just knew that whoever it was, and many times in my life I called him God, and many times in my life I called him Jesus and Holy Spirit, and of course, because that was the religion I was programmed in. So it really doesn't even matter who your source or who you think it is. It's a faith in knowing that it, whatever it is, and that it exists, and that it has your back, and that this is not real. I remember When I would go through hard times, I would remember what my friend John told me in Ohio. It was I tried acid 2 or 3 times in my life. Two. Two. Yeah. Three. And this was the first time, and I was scared to death because drugs are bad. But I'm with my old high school friends and their family, and it must be okay. And and so they just warned me, just Christy, if you feel, freaked out, just remember it's only temporary. It's not real. So when I would have crises or whatever, when I remembered, I would tell myself, it isn't real. It's only temporary. It's just a temporary state of mind. When I did have friends to talk to, I talked to them until I didn't have friends anymore. And if I didn't, then I'd go to the trees or go to the forest or try to go within and wonder. See, because during this time, this drug-induced psychosis, right, all these years, I guess I have to tell you more. So when I was a child and, I was bullied and things like that, and I had gifts. I thought that everybody knew how to fly. I thought that everybody had experiences like me, that knew what tomorrow was going to bring and things like that. But I quickly found out that that wasn't the case. So, of course, I, wasn't really well received. I was a witch and, stuff like that. So, oh, God, I'm telling way too, I'm going to have to cut this shit up. I'm sorry. I was just going to talk about things that I did. But anyways, okay, so as a child, I had those situations to deal with. And then, of course, my own situations in the bases and Bohemian Grove and things like that. I went inward. And you can ask anyone, even people I played sports with. And if some of we're still friends, if you're watching this, like, do you remember when I'd either be in a game or a tournament and then something would happen and trigger me and I'd go into this deep state where everything was blocked out, like this blank stare, and like my mom and everybody would get up all in my face and try to get me to speak or something, but I couldn't. It was just this blank stare. Well, I'm going to tell you now what was going on in that blank stare. Man, I'm going to be hospitalized for this. Okay, so I don't even really know how to describe it with words. I'll just say it's always there, right here in my mind. I can see when I blur my eyes. And I can. It's right there. But anyways, that's my thing. As a child, when I did that and focused on what I saw there, to me it was my invisible spaceship. Today, maybe it still is. I don't know. It's just a triangular, iridescent, spaceshipy like thing that I see here. So, like, as a young child, when I was bullied and stuff and had to run home and things like that, I would just close my eyes and the spaceship would take me home. Yeah, I was walking. I wasn't flying or anything like that at the time, but that's how I coped as a child. So as a teenager and these things would come up and I was being pushed, whether it was tournaments or games or this and that, that's the place I would go back to. Because number one, growing up the way I was growing up, and keep in mind, I was taught what would happen to good little boys and girls who don't do what they're told. How was I taught that? By sitting on evil motherfuckers' laps that you watch on TV today. One of them had 7 heart transplants and he's now dead. I used to sit on those laps. And then go to the fucking cages and see what happened to people who didn't listen. So I clearly had a lot of fear programmed in me. but I made it. So I had to trust whatever that was, that God, that thing, that whatever that guided me. I tried talking about it with other people, churches, pastors, this and that. I church hopped. I tried to find one that would hear my questions and, you know, try to help. Tried them all, didn't find it. But that was always there. I had no choice but to go back to that, right? Because where are you going to go? Your family hates you because you're crazy. Your friends hate you because you're crazy. The medical system, they don't have time for you. They just want to get you into a 3-minute appointment and take a pill, and maybe you can go talk to someone, 6 months later. We'll check your blood levels, right? It was hard. I ran. That's really the first things I could do was just run and trust. As I got older, in my 30s, and started to find out that everything that I thought I knew about, I was a nutrition major. Everything I learned in school was a big fat lie. I was sick all the time. I was depressed. I was, weight fluctuations, things like that. During that time, when I learned about real nutrition, I learned how nutrition, health, eating contributes to your emotional health. So now I had something other, a coping mechanism or a healing mechanism other than running away, right? Coast to coast, South Carolina, Utah, LA, Pennsylvania. Like I was, trying to get out of the lion's den. I didn't know what narcissist meant. I didn't know what a psychopath was, except for, the couple lone crazies on the news here and there, right? The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, or Ted Bundy. And that's all. Those were the only psychopaths in the world, right? And, yeah. So it was around that time in my 30s, I met Nurse Olivia. And that's, I already knew that psychiatry was kind of bullcrap, but I still didn't know anything. And I didn't know that you could actually heal from it. And I really didn't even know all the dangers of it at the time. I just knew that it didn't work for me and made me crazy. So it was in my 30s when I decided I had to look away, turn away even from my mother with her drugs and situation. I found out that God was smarter than man, Mother Nature, whatever, something that created us, bigger, stronger, smarter, wiser than us. And I started to replace everything in my life that was synthetic with something that was natural. I learned about heavy metals and detoxing. I learned about Facoid and Modifilam, by the way. Let me show you. I got mine in my purse here. I used to distribute it. It's on my website, but I don't anymore because I can't afford to maintain my website. Just life is the way it is right now. But this right here frickin' changed my life. Got me, well, I'll say this. When I first started taking it, I was in a wheelchair. I got out of the wheelchair like 8 months later. Doctors told me I'd never walk again. And I was doing that. I also, though, was taking things like calcium bentonite clay, just like a quarter of a teaspoon in a little shot glass of water. And that would also bond with heavy metals and harmful molecules. And basically you just poop them out, right? Then I learned about juicing. I learned that everything I learned in nutrition in school was a lie. I told that was a lie. So I had to replace diet sodas and what was that shit I used to drink all the time thinking I'm healthy? Crystal Light. Yeah. As a nutrition major, and I was so healthy, I drink a gallon of Crystal Light and a freaking little can of beans and corn. Ridiculous. But so I learned the truth. And then I noticed as I felt better, as I was feeding my body more natural foods, natural things, getting closer to the source, that my emotions felt better. Well, that's weird. So I started looking into orthomolecular psychology, which is what? All about vitamins and getting your minerals in balance. So I did that. I do have to say, for me, and I've done a video, I think it's called the number one detox plan, and I talk about it quite a bit. But the number one thing I did to heal myself was learn to say no. Yeah, to everyone and everything that didn't feel right. Why? Because my new intuition had never failed me before. If I want my intuition to keep working for me, why would I tell it to fuck off anymore, right? If it tells me get out, if I had a hit right now to tell me to get out of this car, I don't even know why, I would just get out. Maybe the car blows up 20 seconds later. I don't know. All I know is that every time I listen to my intuitive hits, there's a freaking reason. You can do that too. So, look, that little girl, that little boy, whoever it is, that grieving child that was never heard is still there. Still the same dreams, the same desires, the same loves, the same talents, and even more, maybe, latent ones, more you've acquired on the way. They're still there. You have to learn to love that. And I know it sounds cliche. Oh, love your inner child. Blah, blah. I know. It sounds ridiculous. And it's not really all airy, fairy, fluffy, puffy as some of these pansy people would want you to believe either. Okay? It takes work. It's hard. Like, sometimes you have to go back to those places that you don't want to go back to. And sometimes you don't even remember those places because it's been so traumatized out of you, right? I mean, there were a lot of things I suppressed even about my mom that I didn't think about until after she died. Or even other things, like things even like on Time Hop. A picture came up from 11 years ago when I was all Miss Patriotic, American flag, girl next door person. Well, do you know what was actually going on at the time? I was being groomed. Yeah, you probably saw me on the news reading or talking about things, but I wasn't talking. I was reading a teleprompter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I noticed in those days, the plastic days, when I was in the land of plastic, I had to be medicated to think that was all right because everything about that life is anti-nature. Almost everything about your life today is anti-nature. So if you have faith in who or whatever you have faith in, why would you do the opposite and put your faith in man? Look, if you are so fucking depressed and suicidal like I was most of my life, dying is easy. Dying is great. You're already fucked up, right? Life is already horrible. You're already the biggest jerk in the world. So what do you have to lose? Right? That's how I looked at it. It's like, well, I'm already fucking doomed. God already hates me. The world hates me. I suck. I'm never gonna amount to anything. I'm ugly. I'm like all those things. Well, so then what do you have to lose? I realized I had nothing to lose. So why don't I try to give myself the love that I didn't get? Yep, nope, nobody wanted to listen to little Christie. That's okay, but you know what Big Christie did? Mm-hmm. No one wanted to listen to little Christie, just wanting her mommy to love her. But you know what Big Christie did? And that's what you have to do. You have to be that friend, that support, that family, that nurturer, that therapist, that lover, that whoever it is that you wanted. And I know it sounds, I really hate it when people say, well, you can't have, nobody's going to love you until you learn to love yourself. Bullshit. In fact, it's the opposite. Let's get real here. How many people do you know in relationships? Now, let me ask you, how many of them are in healthy relationships? Yeah, how many people married their high school sweetheart? Really? You think a 14-year-old really loves himself? Bullshit. That's more shaming and blaming. However, there is a path to self-love without the shame. Love yourself like you would love your daughter, like you would love your puppy, like you would love some random little... If you saw a starving child sitting there in the parking lot right now, would you do or say something? Yeah. Or your best friend, or your grandma, or whoever it is that you love. How would you treat them if the situation was reversed? And now that is what you give to yourself, right? I even talked about this years ago. I had an epiphany, when I was back in radio. I'm like, no, don't love your neighbor as yourself. Love yourself as your neighbor. And why I said it that way was because it's easy to love someone else, not so easy to love yourself, right? Because we're ridiculous. We're stupid. We've, been shamed, brutally shamed, or whoever, by who, everybody has their story, right? But it's so easy to love that cool person next door or across the street or that you work with or whoever. So try to turn that love that you want to give to other people to yourself. And you do that in every way, not just essential oils and herbs and drawing baths and going outside, but eating. If your body is a temple, why would you treat it like a garbage can? What if you spent half the time on your body giving it the proper fuels as you did your car? So for me, healing, recovering, detoxing was, oh, my wrist hurts holding the phone. That's all-encompassing approach. It was not just physical, and it was not a routine or a regimen that stuck. It wasn't like take this pill 3 times a day or meditate 3 times a day. It was whatever I could do when I could do it, with trying to not put pressure on myself, right? Because I was learning to love myself like I could love those other people. It's easy to love your children, right? So I had to remember, and I would see myself through them. Oh my God, wow, I was a beautiful, sweet, innocent little girl at one time. Where are you? What do you want? Yeah, talk to me. Yep, that's what I did. Okay, so let me see. Is there anything I can think of to say in this video about my recovery? I don't know. I feel like it's been forever. It has. It's been like 53 minutes, so sorry about that. I do want to share it all. I don't, it's just going to come as it comes. And I'm sorry if you didn't get the answers you wanted, like some regimented program. There are programs, by the way, and I always give out a site, empathictherapy.org or Bregan.com, Dr. Peter Bregan. There's other people that put up protocols if you want to get off your drugs, weaning yourself off. I did it cold turkey. I'm not suggesting that anybody else do anything I've ever done. I realize not everybody is as grand of a risk taker as me. I get it. You want to do things the safe way. However, I will bring up, there was a time where I wanted to do everything the safe way and it just didn't work. So I kind of got pushed into a lot of things. So, how do you get off your drugs if that's what you want? you're going to have to really want it. You're going to have to be willing to accept yourself and the pain, the new pains, the withdrawals, the confusion, the fear, the everything that you're going to go through. But guess what? You've already gone through that. That's why you're taking the pills to begin with, right? So just know you've already been there. You've already been through hell already. So what's the difference? That's why when people are like, oh, Christy, you can't do that, they're going to get you. I'm like, really, what? You're going to rape me again? You're going to kidnap my children again? You're going to fucking slander me again? You're going to shoot me again? You're going to you're going to poison me again? Like, what? Whatever, bring it, bitch. What? You've already been through it. You've already been abused. You've already been traumatized. You've already been shamed. You've already been abandoned. You've already been blamed. So what is the difference? Oh, is somebody gonna think you're crazy if they see you cry? Oh, whoops, that already happened. Like, next, right? So, I just really, if I could encourage you one thing, be gentle with yourself. Love yourself like your daughter. Love yourself like your puppy. Just keep thinking that. Like, you can't get mad at a baby, right? And we're babies. We're just big, freaking traumatized, overgrown, petrified babies. You can get that innocence back, that childlike innocence. And with that childlike innocence is that childlike knowing. That childlike knowing, that still small voice, that is your intuition. Your intuition that you have turned off through these distractions, the TV, the pills, the alcohol, etc. It's going to take time, and you might go through periods, even years, where you think, oh my God, I don't remember my dreams anymore. Oh my God, I'm disconnected from source. Why can't I see anymore? Why don't I have that vision anymore? You'll get it back. And you'll get it back under wiser conditions where you now know not to cast your pearls before swine. You'll get it back and you'll finally understand what your grandmother meant when she told me not to share what I know and what I saw and what. You'll learn discernment. You'll learn who your friends are. You'll learn who your tribe is. And most importantly, you'll learn who you are. And you will learn that you are a fucking badass and have purpose. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be tortured and traumatized, okay? That only happens to the people with something, the light that the darkness wants to stamp out. If you're just dull and blah, of course you're not going to be targeted. Of course nobody's going to be after you. Of course you're not going to have any drama. Why? Because you're just a useless tool. So look at what a badass you are already. Everything you've already gone through. Pat yourself on the back and know you can do this. And before I let you go, when you think you can't do it, remember me. Single, disabled mother at the time, then single, disabled, homeless, bitch, least of the least, discarded by. I'm the only person in my family, of every side, of every extended family, who has not been provided for in any way. The only person. Yeah. So even the most unloved, hated, discarded piece of shit like me, single, disabled, homeless, single, disabled mother, zero income, zero benefits from the state, no support groups, no whatever. Just remember, when you think you can't do it, remember me. If I can do it, anyone can. And that is a fact. Happy healing. All right. See you next time.